Hello and welcome to the show. Well, I tell you, we've got a great show planned for you. It's nothing like being in different places where you can do your show. I know it looks a little different, so I'm in another location. We're not in the studio today. However, our guests are from all over the country. And so we are just grateful that you joined the show today. I want to say thank you. Hope you're having a great time getting ready for the holiday season, for those that are celebrating the Thanksgiving season. And of course, this year, we are always talking about the power of now. But this month is the Season of Gratitude series. And so this week, we're going to be talking with Carrie Thomas and Luciana Daniel. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy because it's coming up next.
The Curry Insurance Agency has served the community for over 30 years with hundreds of trained representatives to assist you in selecting health plans. Curry Insurance Agency is the largest marketing insurance group in the state of South Carolina for Medicare Advantage and represents all major health carriers. Curry's motto is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Call the Curry Agency today at 803-536-0889. The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com.
Welcome back to the show. Well, I tell you, we've got a great show planned for you. I have two phenomenal women that are on today. And like I said, this is the season of gratitude. And we're talking all about being grateful, but more importantly, we're learning about women and men who are doing some extraordinary things in our community. This guest is Jamaican born. She was raised in South Florida. She's an active in the military, master sergeant. Now I know I got that. It's supposed to be senior master, I think, but she'll correct me. She served multiple advocacy roles in bringing awareness to insufferable issues such as anxiety, domestic violence, child abuse, and various forms of trauma. She's the host of the Camouflage Beauty podcast and the founder of the lifestyle brand Challenge Adversity, Respect Yourself, which is CARY LLC. She's also the author of her new book, The Black Label Experience. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Miss Carrie Thomas. Come on out, Carrie.
Hi, Tammy. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So correct me. Is it Senior Master Sergeant?
It is Senior Master Sergeant now. Yes, thank you.
That's right. That's right. That promotion. And so, Carrie, it is so great to have you on the show. How are you doing, beautiful?
I am, this is the perfect time, right? Season of gratitude. And I am absolutely just grateful. That's where I'm sitting right now. So thank you.
Well, I surely thank you. Listen, I always start with, because we have new viewers, I want you to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so like you said, so I this month actually I'm celebrating my 19th year in the Air Force, and so I'm excited for that. I am Jamaican born, grew up in South Florida. I am a very big advocate for women and women rights and women issues, and that doesn't have an age, right? So I start with young girls all the way to women who are older than me, and so I just like to teach people where I can, and like the young people say, right? Have people live their best life. That's it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I tell you, it's always great to talk with you because you are a champion for women's rights and women's issues. And so this new book, because I'm going to get right into it. This new book, The Black Label Experience. I want you to kind of talk to us about the Black Label Experience.
Yeah, so the book is the Black Label Experience. So I wrote this book, 21 chapters, right? And so whoever they are, the experts say it takes about 21 days to change a habit, to create a new habit. And so this is a journal specifically for you to write down your thoughts of some of the things that you go through in the workplace trauma, the workplace drama, some of the things that you've experienced, or if you haven't experienced it, and you support women of color, for you to read this book to understand some of their experiences so you can also be an advocate for them. So, the title of the book, again, is The Black Label Experience. This volume is called It Takes Work, because truthfully, that's really what it takes. It takes work on yourself, it takes work in the community, it takes work all around to advocate for these things.
Well, Carrie, speaking with you, and we've talked personally about you being in the military and how you've had to maneuver through that, as well as some of the other topics that you're very passionate about. What made you want to write this particular book at this particular time?
So I think for me, where I was in what I call the wilderness, and I make reference to that in the book a lot. And so sometimes you are in a place where you may not have any family, any friends, or anyone around you. And you are alone with your thoughts. And those thoughts can get destructive or they can be constructive. And so I figured journaling is the best way to have those constructive talk, because you have to be careful what you tell yourself, right? And so I figured if I am going through this, there has to be at least one other person out here who is stuck in the wilderness as well, and want to have some way to positively and constructively express their thoughts when they're going through things.
hmm And wilderness can be defined as just about anything,
Hmm.
when we really think about it, and it's a state of mind.
It is.
As you were talking about, who inspired you to share your experiences, or what inspired you to share your life experiences in this way?
So I think, definitely there was some reluctance at first, right? And so whenever you push out any kind of art, you just never know how it's going to be received. But, it's what I found was it was difficult for me to continue to tell people to do when I wouldn't do. And so it really is about leading by that example as much as I possibly can. And so you just try to continue to do that. I took a millionaire's course a couple of months back, and the best advice I got, she said, write the bad book. Even if it's bad,
Mm.
write the bad book and get it out the way. And so I decided I'm going to write the book and get it out the way. And that's what I did.
Write the bad book and get it out the way. Well,
Hmm.
Carrie, talking about that, this book sounds like it's
Hmm.
a journey that you and some of your friends have gone through.
Hmm.
And for you, what was the most challenging thing in writing this book?
The most challenging part has to be the vulnerability, to really expose that you don't have it all together. One of the chapters in here, I labeled it, Sometimes It's You. Sometimes you are a part of the problem, and that's hard to admit. It takes a lot of self reflection and honesty to do that. But it's important for you to do that as well. And so just being able to expose yourself to people that you don't know, right? For open for judgment, that
Hmm
requires a certain sense of, I don't know if it's crazy or strength, right? But either way,
Yeah. And how long did it take you to sometimes it's you? How long did it take you to get to that point? Sometimes
oh,
it's you.
you know, in some areas it may have taken me a few weeks, few months, and then some of them I'm still going.
That's
So,
right. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. So let's talk about being grateful. When you think about your life, what life experience, good or bad, have you had that you're grateful for?
wow, that's such a big question, because there's so
Hmm
many things to be grateful for. But one of the things I could think of right top of my head right now, I am in the Air Force, I am in the military, and unfortunately, I've had many people who did not make it home. I've had many people, unfortunately, succumb to suicide, and I've had a lot of people that I've known that's lost themselves along the way. And so to be 19 years in and still to be able to hold on to my faith, my individuality, in such a massive organization, I think has been the most important thing for me. So I always say when I do decide to retire, my retirement song is going to be Frank Sinatra's "I Did It My Way," and that has been the most important thing to me.
That's right. I mean, my aunt loved that song. I mean, it was like she played it. That was her anthem.
Hmm.
I did it my
That's
way.
right. That's right.
And so, what is the life lesson that you can share about being grateful?
What I say is, take it in small strides. sometimes we're waiting for that big miracle to be grateful for. And, we like to say the present is a gift, and it sounds cliche or like this, popular quote to say, but that's really what it is, because you cannot get back the time you're spending now. So the life lesson for me is take it in small strides. Even if you don't write a book, if you wrote one page, be grateful that you had the opportunity to do that and the courage to do that as well.
That's right. Wow, wow, Carrie. I tell you what, you hit the nail on the head, because at this point in life, as I said, the power is now. It's about doing what you have been purposed to do, what God has put in what He's put in your being for you to do, and stop saying, "Oh well, if I wish I had." You get to that point, even if you're 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, do it. Just
Hmm.
and go for it. And like you said, those small strides. Carrie, I want to go back and talk to you about your book and the podcast. Tell us a little bit about the Camouflage Beauty podcast.
So I started the Camouflage Beauty podcast as I call it a shared experiences of military women, and it turned into something much bigger than that. So now I have all women from all walks of life that support the military, non-military. But what I learned in that process is that people want someone to see them, to hear them, and sometimes people have nobody to talk to. And so again, that's why the journaling is so important, because sometimes you really have nobody that you can trust, or you may not be ready to have that conversation with anyone else. And so but you still have those things bottled up inside, right? So the podcast actually led into the book. It's just another form of expression. I still love podcasting. I love to be on the mic and be on shows such as yours. But the book is just another experience as well. And so hopefully women and men, hopefully men also pick this book up and they can just learn more about some of the things that women, specifically Black women, may be struggling with in the
Mhm.
workplace.
That's right. And what is so, as you said, struggling in the workplace, because your 21 chapters, it takes work.
Hmm.
When you talk with other women, or when you are mentoring other women, what is the one thing that you say to them about it takes work and where they need to go?
So it's baby steps. Work is hard, and everything
Mm-hmm.
about work seems hard. So if you think about that, you'll think yourself out of doing anything at all. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
the baby steps. You don't have to move the mountain today. And people always say you can't change the world. Well, I believe I can change the world. I've always believed that for a long time. You just change the circle that you can influence, one person at a time. And eventually it becomes contagious, and that's how you change the world. It's not your responsibility to move the mountain on your shoulders alone. But if you just take the first step forward, and the first step sometimes is telling yourself that you can. And sometimes that's the hardest step, is to say that you can.
Mm. Come on now. The little train, what is that? The little train that can, I can, I can, I can. Wow, wow. So Carrie, you're going to come back on the show because we just talked about this. But what's next for you?
So, I wrote this book, and it actually says on the title of the book, Volume One. I did that specifically to challenge myself and hold myself accountable to writing other volumes. And so, my intent is to write 3 volumes total. The second one will be about Black families, and the third will be about relationships, and just some of the labels that we experience in those realms, and how we can navigate those spaces safely and help others also understand some of the traumatic things that happens in those relationships and those families.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to read volume 2 and 3. I can't wait to sit down because I do journaling as well. And I will
Hmm.
say that it is very therapeutic. Some people just write just to be writing, but if you are writing from a sense of trying to get to the next place,
Hmm.
journaling is really just that type of thing. Because when I go back and I look back in 19, I'll tell my age now, 1980 something, and I pick up my journal and I'm like, wow, I said that. I was
Hmm.
in that place at that time. So, Carrie, I want to thank you for writing this particular this particular book and the volumes to come. I wish you all the best because I know that it's going to be phenomenal. And you're coming back on when we start back in the new season of 2023. I'm going to have you come back on because by that I know you will have volume two.
Well, see, I hope so. And so that's
Yes.
it. You know, you just like you said, it's a therapeutic experience. So thank you so much for having me, Tammy. I really appreciate it.
Oh, listen, don't you go anywhere. Last thing I'm going to ask you, what are three words that describe Carrie?
Oh man. At this point in my life, the three words are
That's
probably peaceful, ready, and capable.
peaceful, ready, and capable. All
Mhm.
right, Miss Peaceful, Ready, and Capable. I love it. I love it. Carrie, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I look forward to talking with you in the new year. But we'll talk before then.
Of
Folks,
course.
we talk. We'll talk before then.
Bye, Tammy.
Bye.
Thank you
Have a
so much
happy
for having
Thanksgiving.
me. You
Yep. And
too.
you
Bye
have
bye.
okay. Bye-bye, Carrie. Thank you. All right. I tell you what, Carrie is such a wonderful person. Listen, that voice, that radio voice to sit down and just talk with her, but just all that she talked about, in her 19 years of being in the Air Force, as well as all of the other things in her life experiences. And so next, we're going to come back and you're going to meet another phenomenal woman. And we're going to be right back.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com. The Curry Insurance Agency has served the community for over 30 years with hundreds of trained representatives to assist you in selecting health plans. Curry Insurance Agency is the largest marketing insurance group in the state of South Carolina for Medicare Advantage and represents all major health carriers. Curry's motto is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Call the Curry Agency today at 803-536-0889.
Welcome back to the show. I tell you, just the first episode, the first part of our show. If you missed it, you missed a phenomenal woman, Carrie Thomas. And I want to thank her again for joining us, the author of The Black Label Experience. Now you've got an opportunity to meet another phenomenal woman. She is an actress, a model, and she's from South Carolina. She's modeled for several years and she's pursued her acting and she's worked alongside fellow creatives and independent filmmakers. And listen, let me tell you, she's a mother, she's a friend to everybody, and just a really cool person. And I've got to say that because I've known her for quite a while. So come on out, Miss Luchina Danielle.
Hi.
Hey, China. Listen, China. May I say China?
Yes, you can call me China.
All right. How are you? Entrepreneur as well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well.
That's right. Well, I'm so glad to see you. And thank you so much for being on this show. As we were talking earlier, we've known each other for 20 something years, maybe now.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, China, as we're talking, tell everybody about yourself.
Well, I am Luchina Danielle. Some people, they call me China, as Tammy does. I've been in the modeling and acting scene for, maybe 20 plus years now, maybe 15 or more. I can't remember, but it's been a while. I got involved in the modeling and acting community when I lived in the Low Country. And I just, networked with various individuals, creatives, independent filmmakers. And, it just went from there. And after modeling for some time, I ended up mentoring and coaching other models. And later on, I ended up, producing my very own fashion show. And then I started producing shows for other people and coordinating their fashion events.
That's right. And I will tell everybody that's watching, Luciana did coach my daughter,
Mhm.
Catherine, in modeling and acting. And so listen, and I want to thank you for that because you did a phenomenal job with Catherine.
Thank you.
And entrepreneur. I forgot to tell everybody about your shoe line. Talk
So,
about that.
okay, that just came about. That was just very random. Um, I've always been passionate about all things fashion, and I used to aspire to be a fashion designer when I was a kid. And one day I was just, scrolling down Facebook and I saw this thing called Alive Shoes. And I was like, I'm just going to go over here and play around with it and figure out something. So I looked at it. I said, okay, they got all these little templates and things like that. So I started designing the sneaker. And I was like, so what am I going to name it? And I combined my first and middle name. So I took the first part of my middle name, Danielle, Danny,
Mhm.
and then Lucci is the first part of my first name. So I called it Danny Lucci. And I was like, well, you know what? I think I need to expand this. And I started doing merchandise. So I had t-shirts, hoodies, book bags, you know, things like that.
That's right. And that's a lot because just being a designer, period. I mean, I don't know how you do it, but you did it. You did it, and I love to see your line, especially the tennis shoes, which were very very nice. And so, Luciana, that's what I'm on. I want to talk with you about Lucy Productions because Lucy Productions is just Lucy Productions. And when I say that, I mean, I've seen you go from here to here, just like that. So talk about Lucy Productions.
Okay, so Lucy Productions, um, that really came about as far as, coaching models, mentoring them. And at one point, I began managing models. Um, I don't do that any longer, but, I did manage models at one point. And as
Mhm.
far as coming up with the name for Lucy Productions, my two older children, they would tease me like Lucy. They just called me Lucy. So I was like, what can I name this? And so I just called it Lucy Productions. And, like I said, mentoring models is something I'm definitely passionate about. Seeing the growth with them. That's basically what Lucy Productions is about.
Mhm.
Just seeing the models and talent grow, um, build their confidence level. So that's what I love about Lucy Productions and being able to produce fashion shows and coordinating them. One of the biggest shows that I coordinated was the Carolina Classic Hair and Fashion Show, which we recently had our
Yep.
show October at the Convention Center in Columbia, and it was amazing. So just being able to work in various elements of the fashion industry, get to work with the designers, makeup artists, the models. And I've even had the opportunity to post castings, for Lucy Productions. So I had people come to me to post their castings for projects that they have going on, whether it's acting or some type of entertainment. So yeah, Lucy Productions, it's very interesting.
That's right. I mean, you have an array of subjects and things that you do with Lucy Productions, which makes it unique. And so that leads me to going back to your modeling career because all of this really goes back to your foundation. What made you want to start modeling? How did you get to start out in modeling?
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I always tell people this story. But there was a fundraiser going on, and the fashion show was a part of it. And I may have been in maybe first, second grade. I can't remember. I was a kid, but I remember every detail about that show and how much fun I had. And after that, I was like, oh, I want to be a model. And I
Hmm.
had an older cousin. She would always be like, that girl needs to model. She needs to model. When I, in my teen years, she kept telling my mom, she needs to model. So when I relocated from my hometown to the low country, that's when I started getting involved with the modeling. And what I usually tell people is mostly about networking with the right people,
Hmm.
making those connections with like minded people, people in the industry. So, like I said, being in the low country, that really opened doors for me at that time. There were several fashion events going on, and some of them it was like, oh, you got to be a certain height, but I would go anyway. I was like, I don't care what the height is. I'm going to audition anyway. Either they like it or they don't. All they can do is tell me no. So,
That's
so I
that's
did.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. And when we talk about low country, for those that are watching from other parts of the country, we're talking about Charleston, South Carolina, because
Yes.
a lot of people don't know low country. They may have heard it over a time span, but they don't really know that it's Charleston, South Carolina.
That's
Want
right.
to ask you about your feeling as it relates to African American women in the fashion industry now. Do you see it being harder for women to get into African American women to get into modeling and acting, or is the field now really showing that it's opening up?
I have mixed feelings about that. I think it definitely depends on the market that
Mm-hmm.
you're in. You have the Southeast region, you have the West Coast, you have, up north, NYC. So I think it varies per market, but there's always been a challenge for African American women in modeling and acting, versus,
Mm-hmm.
their counterparts. Why
Mm-hmm.
that is, your guess is as good as mine. But, I
Mm-hmm.
believe that, we face discrimination in some areas. And, even in modeling, I've experienced, some discrimination. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just make this story brief, but there was a fitting, and this designer, she was another race, and she basically overlooked many of us. And one Caucasian model, she was like, Luciana can model that dress. And the lady, she walked right past me. And, you know, I would have, maybe I'm not tall enough, but for her to do it to multiple, African American models, that
Mm-hmm.
stood out to me. Just some of the looks from, other people involved in the events. But, that's neither here nor there. But long story
Mm-hmm.
short, I do believe that it is a challenge, for African American women in modeling and acting. And
Acting.
it seems as though that we have to work, twice as hard, to get ourselves out there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's so true in any industry, in the entertainment industry in particular.
Hmm.
And I do agree with you. But things are changing. Having you in your career and all that you're doing and all the movies that you've been in and all, I see it now opening up. And so yeah, we know it's a better time coming.
Yes.
Yeah, we really do. So I want to ask you, what's the one accomplishment that you're grateful for?
Woo, let's see. I'm grateful for many things. I can't narrow it down to one.
Mm-hmm. Well, just name some.
Well, let me name some.
Yeah.
um, I just, you know, one of the things, well, a few of the things that I'm grateful for is just challenging myself and stepping out my comfort zone. And what a lot of people really don't know about me, I'm very introverted. I'm pretty much an introvert. And a lot of people are like, nah, there's no way you're an introvert. But every time, no matter if it's a runway show or if I'm acting, and even now during this interview, just being transparent, this is a challenge for me because I'm such an introvert. I'm so to myself. And
Um,
I'm grateful that, I'm able to step outside the box and, just put myself out there. So I'm
mhm.
grateful for that, grateful for opportunities that's been presented to me. Just so many things to be grateful for. Just waking up in the morning.
Hey.
Um, I always say I have an attitude of gratitude, no matter how big or small the blessing. If you're not grateful for the little things, then how can you expect to be rewarded with greater things? So,
Oh, come on.
yeah.
Come on, preacher. Wow. Luciana, I would have never thought that you were an introvert, even knowing you from many years ago. Um,
Yes.
because you always had this outgoing personality. And so I'm just grateful that you came on the show and that you're sitting here talking with us today, because
Yes.
that makes everything just come full circle for us.
Oh yeah, and I tell you, modeling and acting really helped me in that area. So it helped to build confidence and self-esteem and things of that nature, because
Mhm.
that was something I didn't always have. So that's
Wow,
another thing to be grateful for, that being in the industry has helped in those areas in my life.
that's right. So what's next for you, Luchina?
What's next for me? So I will continue to pursue acting, definitely. I'm going to put myself out more with that. And I'm always up to something.
I know
Always up
you are.
to something. I'll just say that, I have a desire to start a nonprofit. Um, Not too many details, but it's going to be
Right.
all. It's going to be.
Okay. Well, listen, if I can do anything to help you, all you have to do is call. All you have to do is
Thank you.
call. So what 3 words describe you, China?
Ambitious. Um, let's see, ambitious. I'm very, what's the word I can think? Ambitious, resilient, and I guess loving. I'm just a very loving person.
Wow. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well, China, listen, it's always great talking with you. And again, I thank you so much for opening yourself up and coming on the show. Like you said, this is a challenge, but again, a great challenge.
Yes.
And we're going to do this again, just like I told you and Carrie. We are going to do this again. And so I look forward to us getting together. And like I said, if there's anything that I can do, same with Carrie, if there's anything that I can do to help you, please let me know.
I thank you so much for the opportunity to come onto your show.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Well, listen, tell your daughter I said congratulations again on her wedding coming up, upcoming wedding, and your daughters, and you take care of yourself.
All right. I'll be seeing you.
Okay. So much, China. Love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Bye bye. All right, folks, we've had a great show. I don't know if you're just coming on. You missed 2 phenomenal women, Miss Carrie Thomas, and of course, Miss Luchina Danielle. Uh, Beautiful women, beautiful souls, and they shared with us why they have a lot to be grateful for. Your homework, viewers, is to send us why you are grateful. What are you grateful for? So I always want to thank you, viewers, for tuning into the show, and I want you to join us next week for a season of gratitude when we speak with some other wonderful people. Thank you to my producers, Alicia, my assistant producers, Tiana, Willie, and Felicia, of course. And I want you to please subscribe to the Tammy TV show. Now, Willie, I can't do it like you, but you're going to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It is the Tammy TV show. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and it will notify you of when the show is going to start. And, you will also see us on Facebook. So as I say to everyone, let us be a blessing to someone today and every day. It's not just being a blessing just this one time, it's being a blessing all the time. Okay. So I want you to have a safe and wonderful week. And yes, everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And just take care of yourself. Love on somebody. Be grateful for what you have. And I'll see you next week. Thank you for joining and take care of yourself. Bye bye.